Hello dear listeners to the Haunting Chronicles. I hope the chills from episode 1 still linger in your bones. Prepare yourselves for 5 more eerie tales that will keep you awake and trembling tonight. Welcome to Creepy Chronicles episode 2. The Crossroads Melody. It was the early 1900s, and life had not been kind to me. I was just an average acoustic guitar player, struggling to make ends meet, trying to earn enough money to put food on my table. I often found myself playing in sleazy bars, hoping for a few coins tossed my way. On one particularly desperate night, I was lost in my thoughts as I played my heart out, wondering how I'd find a meal if I wasn't paid for this gig. The dimly lit bar was filled with smoke, and the air was thick with despair. But then, as I strummed my final chord, something peculiar happened. A well-dressed man, with an unsettling charm, stood at the back of the room, observing my performance intently. His eyes pierced through the haze, locking onto mine. As the night wore on, I finished my set, and the mysterious man approached me. "You play quite beautifully," he said, a sly grin curling at the corners of his mouth. "I couldn't help but notice your predicament." With a mixture of curiosity and desperation, I nodded. "Yes, I'm struggling to get by. I need help, but I'm not sure I can offer anything in return." He chuckled softly, producing a tattered parchment from his coat pocket. "I can help you, my dear musician, but it comes at a cost." He offered me the contract with a quill, seemingly appearing out of thin air. I squinted, trying to make out the words etched on the paper. The letters seemed to dance before my eyes, but I could sense the weight of the offer. Fame and fortune in exchange for my soul for a period of 5 years. My heart pounded in my chest, torn between the desire for a better life and the fear of what this contract might truly mean. Yet, the desperation to escape my current struggles won over, and I hesitantly took the quill. In trembling hands, I signed my name, sealing the deal with an ominous flourish. The man grinned even wider, and in that moment, I felt an eerie chill that went straight to my bones. "We will meet at the crossroads precisely at midnight 5 years from now," he said with an air of finality. And with that, he vanished into thin air, leaving me with a haunting promise. The following years were a whirlwind of success and fame. My music resonated with audiences across the nation, and I enjoyed the pleasures of wealth like I'd never imagined. But with every joyous moment, the weight of my decision bore down on me, reminding me that my days of freedom were numbered. As the fateful day drew near, my soul grew heavy with regret and anxiety. I knew I couldn't escape the pact I had made, and the thought of losing my very essence sent shivers down my spine. Finally, the appointed night arrived, and I found myself standing alone at the crossroads, the moon casting an eerie glow on the desolate path before me. The air was pregnant with tension, and every passing minute felt like an eternity. Then, as the clock struck midnight, he appeared. The same man from years ago, impeccably dressed, and with an aura of malevolence that sent a cold shiver through my being. "It's time," he whispered, his voice like a snake's hiss. My heart pounded in my chest as I tried to speak, but the words caught in my throat. Instead, I nodded, acknowledging the inevitable. The man extended a hand, and this time, the contract bore the mark of 5 years past. He grinned maliciously, knowing he had me in his grasp. "Now it's time for what's rightfully mine," he said, his voice sending chills down my spine. As he began to take my soul, I felt an indescribable pain, as if a part of me was being ripped away. The world around me blurred, and I could feel myself fading, my existence slipping away like sand through an hourglass. Then, darkness consumed me, and I found myself standing over my lifeless body, a lost soul now condemned for eternity. Regret gnawed at me, and I understood that I had taken the easy way out, sacrificing my soul for temporary gains. I was trapped, unable to move on, haunted by the choices I had made. The fame and fortune I had once enjoyed were now meaningless, for I was but a hollow shell of my former self. In that eternal darkness, I learned the true cost of seeking an easy path. My music, once a means of solace, had become a haunting melody, a reminder of the choices I should never have made. And so, I wandered the afterlife as a cautionary tale, a soul forever lost in the echoes of regret, forever longing for a chance to undo the contract that damned me at the crossroads. The lesson remains, a warning to those who seek shortcuts to success and a reminder that some deals are better left unmade. The devil's contract may offer riches and fame, but the price it demands is one that no mortal should ever be willing to pay. The Empty Tower. I never imagined that moving into a brand new 6-story apartment complex would lead me down a path of darkness and terror. The building stood tall in the heart of the city, its sleek facade promising a modern and comfortable living space. Yet, as I stepped inside for the first time, a haunting silence enveloped me. The building was completely empty, devoid of any tenants or signs of life. The real estate agent had assured me that this was a temporary situation, that soon the building would be bustling with activity as people moved in. But as days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, it became evident that something strange was afoot. The water supply was erratic, and power outages plagued the building. Yet, despite these inconveniences, I remained in the eerie solitude of my apartment. Late nights were the worst. After a long day at work, I would dread the climb up to the 6th floor, taking a seemingly endless 15 minutes to reach my door. The stairwell was dimly lit, casting sinister shadows that seemed to play tricks on my mind. Sometimes, I thought I heard whispers in the darkness, but when I turned to investigate, there was no one there. One fateful night, I returned home later than usual, the clock striking 11:30 as I ascended the 2nd floor. And there, to my disbelief, stood a group of incredibly beautiful men and women, lounging on the stairs. Their laughter echoed through the empty building, and music blared from some unseen source. It was surreal, like stumbling upon a secret party hidden from the world. As I cautiously approached, one of the women looked up and smiled, her eyes gleaming with an otherworldly allure. "Join us," she said, her voice like a siren's call. I hesitated, but curiosity and a longing for companionship got the better of me. Engaging in conversation with the group, they made me feel welcome, offering me a sense of belonging that I hadn't experienced since moving in. I hurriedly went upstairs, took a quick shower, and returned to the 2nd floor where the mysterious party was in full swing. As the night wore on, I found myself becoming intoxicated by the atmosphere, the music, and the enchanting presence of the partygoers. However, as the clock struck midnight, their true nature was revealed. Their once inviting gazes turned predatory, and their smiles revealed razor-sharp fangs. I tried to back away, but it was too late. They surrounded me, their grip like iron shackles. Panic surged through my veins as I realized the horrifying truth: they were vampires. As one of them sank their fangs into my neck, a searing pain shot through me. My vision blurred, and I felt my strength draining away. It was as if my life force was being sucked out of me, leaving me weak and helpless. I could feel myself changing, my humanity slipping away. The night that began as a surreal party ended in a nightmare. I woke up the next evening, standing outside the building, looking up at the moon. My hunger was insatiable, a primal urge driving me to seek out the one thing that could satisfy it: human blood. I became one of them, a creature of the night, forever bound to the dark and cursed to prey on the living. The once empty building was now our lair, a sanctuary where we lurked in the shadows, waiting for unsuspecting souls to cross our path. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, I found myself haunted by regret. What if I had resisted the allure of the party? What if I had walked away when I had the chance? But it was too late for regrets. I was a vampire now, forever condemned to wander the night, forever tormented by the choices I had made. In the darkest hours, I look up at the moon, and the memory of that night replays in my mind. I wonder if there is any redemption for me, if I can ever escape the darkness that now engulfs my soul. But as the night stretches on, I know that the empty tower will forever be my home, and the haunting echoes of that fateful night will continue to reverberate through eternity. The Haunting of Hollowbrook Manor. The rain fell relentlessly, beating a haunting rhythm against the windshield as I drove down a desolate highway. My destination was a remote and forgotten town called Hollowbrook, rumored to be cursed by an ancient spell. As an adventurer and paranormal enthusiast, I couldn't resist the allure of such a place. The stories of a glorious yet haunted manor hidden deep within the woods fascinated and terrified me in equal measure. The townspeople spoke in hushed whispers about the cursed history of Hollowbrook. They claimed that generations ago, the inhabitants had dabbled in dark magic, bringing a malevolent force upon themselves. As the rain intensified, I could almost feel the weight of their fear seeping into my bones. The woodlands surrounding the town were shrouded in mystery, and within them lay the legendary Hollowbrook Manor, a majestic estate that had once been a symbol of wealth and power. But that was long ago. Now, it stood in ruin, a forgotten relic of the past, hidden from the world by the thick canopy of ancient trees. As night descended, I reached the outskirts of the town. The rain showed no sign of abating, and the fog began to creep in, obscuring my vision. The once vibrant and charming houses now appeared eerie and unsettling, casting long, eerie shadows that seemed to watch me pass by. My heart quickened as I approached the imposing wrought iron gates of Hollowbrook Manor. The mansion stood tall and foreboding, the ivy-covered walls and broken windows painting a picture of desolation. But amidst the dilapidation, there was an undeniable air of grandeur that the years had failed to erase. Ignoring the ominous feeling that gnawed at me, I pushed the creaky gates open and made my way up the overgrown path to the manor's entrance. The rain had soaked me to the bone, and a chill ran down my spine as I stepped into the gloomy foyer. The air was heavy with a sense of malevolence, and the echoes of the past whispered in the darkness. Despite the unease, curiosity drove me forward. I wandered through the haunted halls, my footsteps echoing through the silence like a heartbeat. As I explored, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, as if unseen eyes followed my every move. I soon stumbled upon an old study, its walls adorned with faded portraits and dusty tomes. Among the books, I found an ancient journal that spoke of the curse that had befallen Hollowbrook. The author, a previous inhabitant of the manor, wrote of dark rituals and desperate attempts to lift the curse, but to no avail. As the night wore on, the storm outside intensified, and the flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls. My nerves were frayed, and every sound sent my heart racing. The wind howled like a chorus of lost souls, and the rain tapped on the windows like ghostly fingertips. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the silence. My blood turned to ice as I rushed toward the source, the sound leading me deeper into the manor. As I reached the grand ballroom, I froze in horror at the sight before me. The townspeople, their faces twisted in agony, swayed like marionettes on an invisible string. Their eyes were hollow, devoid of life, and their movements were disjointed and unnatural. In the center of the room stood a figure draped in tattered robes, chanting incantations with a voice that echoed with malevolence. The realization hit me like a tidal wave. The entire town was under the control of a malevolent force, trapped in a nightmarish dance orchestrated by dark magic. Panic threatened to overwhelm me, but I knew I had to escape before I too became a puppet in their twisted performance. I stumbled backward, my heart pounding in my chest. The once familiar halls of Hollowbrook Manor now felt like a labyrinth of dread and despair. As I ran, I could hear the haunting whispers of the cursed souls chasing me, their voices urging me to join their torment. The rain outside had turned into a torrential downpour, the thunder roaring like an angry beast. I raced through the woods, my feet slipping on the rain-soaked ground. The ancient trees seemed to loom closer, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Every step brought me closer to freedom, but the malevolent presence pursued me relentlessly. The townspeople's faces haunted my every thought, their desperate screams echoing in my mind. Finally, as the first light of dawn broke through the clouds, I emerged from the woods, gasping for breath. The rain had ceased, and the world seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting to see if I would escape the grasp of the curse. I stumbled back into my car, my body trembling with fear and exhaustion. As I drove away from the cursed town of Hollowbrook, I couldn't help but wonder if I had truly escaped its malevolent influence. The memory of that night still haunts me. The echoes of the townspeople's screams and the sight of their tormented faces linger in my nightmares. I often find myself waking in a cold sweat, afraid that the curse still holds power over me. Hollowbrook Manor stands as a chilling reminder of the dark forces that can lay dormant in the most unsuspecting places. The lonely town and its glorious yet haunted manor will forever be etched in my mind, a place where the line between reality and nightmares blurred and where the past and present intertwined in a dance of terror and despair. The Cavern of Shadows. The wind howled like a banshee through the dense forest as I stumbled, gasping for breath, deeper into the darkness. My heart pounded in my chest, matching the rhythm of my frantic footsteps. I knew I should have never set foot in this forsaken place, but curiosity and a yearning for adventure had led me astray. Now, I found myself in the midst of a bone-crunching horror beyond anything I could have ever imagined. It all began when I heard whispers about a hidden cavern, rumored to hold ancient artifacts and untold treasures. The stories spoke of a curse that had befallen anyone who dared to enter, but I brushed them off as mere tales to deter the weak-hearted. How wrong I was to ignore the warning signs. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that seemed to reach out and grab at me, I found myself standing before a dark, foreboding entrance. The cavern loomed like a hungry maw, waiting to swallow me whole. My heart wavered for a moment, but the allure of discovery spurred me forward. The air inside the cavern was heavy with the scent of decay and dampness. My flashlight's feeble beam illuminated the ancient walls, adorned with strange symbols that seemed to writhe and twist like living creatures. I pressed on, my footsteps echoing through the vast expanse of darkness. As I ventured deeper, the walls seemed to close in around me, and an unnerving feeling of being watched washed over me. I shook off the sensation, attributing it to my overactive imagination. But with every step, the whispers grew louder, and the shadows seemed to move on their own. It wasn't long before I stumbled upon a chamber bathed in an eerie glow. In its center lay a pedestal, adorned with a shimmering gemstone. The allure of the gem was irresistible, and before I knew it, I had reached out to touch it. As soon as my fingers brushed the gem's surface, an ear-piercing shriek filled the air, sending shockwaves through my body. The walls trembled, and the ground beneath me quaked. I tried to pull my hand back, but it was as if an invisible force held me in place. In the blink of an eye, the cavern transformed. The walls seemed to come alive, twisting and contorting like a living nightmare. The gemstone pulsed with an otherworldly light, and the chamber was enveloped in a blinding glow. When the light finally faded, I found myself in a realm of darkness unlike any I had ever seen. The air was thick with malevolence, and a haunting laughter echoed in the distance. Panic gripped me, and I desperately tried to find my way back to the entrance, but the cavern had shifted, and every path led to a dead end. As I wandered through the labyrinth in darkness, I caught glimpses of twisted figures lurking in the shadows. Their eyes glowed like embers, and their skeletal forms moved with unnatural grace. It was as if the very essence of the curse had taken physical form. Time lost all meaning, and with each passing moment, the horror around me escalated. I witnessed macabre scenes of torment, each more bone-chilling than the last. Lost souls trapped in eternal suffering, their cries echoing through the abyss. In the depths of despair, I stumbled upon a chamber of mirrors, each reflecting a different version of myself. But in each reflection, my eyes glowed with a sinister light, and my twisted grin sent shivers down my spine. I tore my gaze away from the mirrors, my heart pounding with terror. I had to escape this nightmarish realm, but it seemed impossible. The cavern's cursed grip was unyielding, and hope began to slip through my fingers like grains of sand. Just as I was about to succumb to the despair, a faint glimmer of hope emerged. A distant whisper in the darkness spoke of a way to break the curse. The key, it seemed, lay in confronting the malevolent force that ruled this realm, the Cursed One. Guided by the whisper, I pushed forward, determined to find the Cursed One and end this nightmare. The journey was treacherous, and I faced horrors that tested the very limits of my sanity. But the thought of breaking free from the clutches of the curse gave me the strength to press on. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I reached a chamber bathed in an unholy light. At its center stood a figure draped in tattered robes, their face concealed by shadows. The Cursed One's presence exuded a chilling malevolence, and my heart threatened to leap from my chest. Summoning all the courage I had left, I stepped forward and demanded an end to the curse. The Cursed One turned to face me, and for a moment, time stood still. Then, with a voice that sent shivers down my spine, the figure spoke, "Foolish mortal, you dare to challenge the power that binds this realm?" I felt a surge of power, and I knew that my fate hung in the balance. I drew on every ounce of strength and determination, and with a defiant roar, I confronted the Cursed One head-on. The battle that ensued was a dance of shadows and light, a struggle between the forces of good and evil. Every blow I landed felt like striking a solid wall, but I refused to back down. I knew that the fate of not only myself but also the tormented souls trapped in this cursed realm depended on my victory. In a final, desperate surge of energy, I unleashed an attack that pierced the heart of the Cursed One. A scream of anguish echoed through the chamber, and with a blinding flash, the malevolent force shattered, like glass shattering into a million pieces. The darkness receded, and the realm began to crumble around me. I felt an unseen force pulling me back, tugging me towards the entrance of the cavern. With a burst of strength, I sprinted through the collapsing tunnels, my heart pounding like thunder. I emerged from the cavern, gasping for breath, just as the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon. The rain had finally stopped, and the birds sang a song of relief. I fell to my knees, exhaustion and triumph mingling in my veins. As I looked back at the cursed entrance of the cavern, I knew that I had faced unimaginable horrors and prevailed. The bone-crunching horror of Hollowbrook's cursed manor would forever be etched in my memory, but so too would the strength and courage that led me to triumph over the malevolent force that ruled within. And as I left the haunted realm of Hollowbrook behind, I knew that my adventures in the supernatural were far from over. But armed with the knowledge that darkness could be defeated, I walked away, ready to face whatever bone-chilling horror the world had in store for me next. In the beginning, when the cosmos was but a whisper in the void, a celestial rebellion erupted in the heavens. Among the angels, one being stood tall and proud, Lucifer, the morning star. His radiance surpassed all others, and he basked in the adoration of his kin. But beneath the facade of magnificence, a dark ember smoldered in his heart. As eons passed, Lucifer's pride grew, and a seed of discontent took root. He questioned why he, with all his glory, should bow before another, a creator he deemed no greater than himself. This thought, like a poisonous vine, consumed his mind until he could bear it no longer. One fateful day, as the heavenly choir sang their praises to the Almighty, Lucifer refused to join. His voice was silenced, and he stood defiantly, wings unfurled, before the throne of God. The heavens trembled, and a somber hush fell upon the celestial realm. "Lucifer, why do you refuse to bow?" the Almighty's voice thundered, a mixture of sorrow and warning. "My lord, I see no reason why I, the morning star, should be subject to another's rule. I am your equal, if not superior," Lucifer declared with burning defiance in his eyes. The angels gasped at his words, their voices a chorus of disbelief. The Almighty's countenance remained serene, but sadness flickered in his gaze. "Pride has clouded your judgment, Lucifer," the Almighty replied. "You were not meant to usurp the throne. Your path is one of servitude, not dominion." Lucifer's heart hardened with every word, and in that moment, he made his choice. "I will not be subservient. I would rather reign in darkness than serve in the light," he proclaimed, his voice echoing through the heavens. With a heavy heart, the Almighty spoke, "So be it. Your pride shall be your downfall." In a cataclysmic blaze, Lucifer was cast out from the heavens, plummeting through the cosmos like a falling star. As he tumbled through the vast expanse of space, his once radiant wings turned ashen and tattered, and the light within him flickered and dimmed. Finally, he crashed onto a desolate, charred world, a realm of darkness and despair. In his wake, the fallen angel left a trail of anguish, his bitterness permeating the very fabric of the universe. He had become a paragon of his own pride. In this realm, he took the name Lucifer, the Fallen One, and proclaimed himself the ruler of his dominion. He surrounded himself with other fallen angels, kindred spirits who had been seduced by the whispers of rebellion. They reveled in their newfound freedom, casting aside their former devotion for the pursuit of power. But even as they celebrated their defiance, a sense of emptiness gnawed at Lucifer's heart. He had tasted the sweet nectar of adoration, and now he was alone in his self-proclaimed kingdom of darkness. As millennia passed, the memory of heaven haunted him like a lingering ghost. The light he had once basked in seemed more radiant in retrospect, and the emptiness within him grew more profound with each passing day. In moments of introspection, Lucifer realized that his rebellion had not brought him the satisfaction he craved. The adulation he had sought had turned to ashes in his hands, leaving only a bitter taste of regret. But pride and stubbornness kept him from returning to the heavens. Instead, he chose to embrace his role as the ruler of the fallen, determined to make his kingdom a dark mirror of the light he had abandoned. And so, Lucifer remained the fallen one, a tragic figure lost in the shadows of his own rebellion. His heart ached for the heavenly embrace he had forsaken, but he could not bear to bow and seek forgiveness. And as the eons marched on, he continued to linger in his desolate dominion, a bone-chilling reminder of the perils of pride and the devastating cost of rebellion.